I'm Simon Fisherbecker. You probably know me better as Dorian Moldavar from Doctor Who, or the Fat Friar from Harry Potter. And this is Everything Geek Podcast.
Your attention, masters, mistresses. All systems functional for the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hey, it's James Arnold Taylor, the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi and Master Plo Koon in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you're listening to Everything Geek, the podcast.
Face it, Tiger. You just hit the jackpot with the Everything Geek Podcast.
Hello everyone, you're listening to the Everything Geek Podcast. I'm your host Rory, and joining me today is a very special guest. We have actor John Campling, who is best known for playing the Death Eater that stops the Hogwarts Express in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Father Lawrence in The Zombie King, the Demon in Tales of the Supernatural, Priest Malaki in Chronicles of Syntax, Doug Mulligan in Apocalypse Z, and Jess Waters in Jack the Giant Killer. So, how are you today, John? I'm very well, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the podcast.
Well, it's a real honor to be invited. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So getting right into the questions, John, my first question is, how did you decide you wanted to become an actor?
Always kind of knew, weirdly. I grew up in Hull, in Yorkshire, or Hull, as I should say, in Yorkshire, northern town, working class. Not really the thing that people did as when I was growing up in the 80s, being an actor. It was a little bit like saying an astronaut, to be honest. But deep down, I kind of knew. I just had this feeling. I'm not quite sure why. We often talk about it with my mum. We're not quite sure where it comes from. When I was about 14, I told my mum that I wanted to act, and she contacted a local amateur dramatic society, and I joined them, and I did some work with them. I then accidentally got a proper job when I was 16 and did my exams and left school. I got a proper job with British Aerospace. So I gave that a go for 5 years. Didn't really get on well with it. Remembered that I used to want to be an actor. And then I contacted Hull Truck Youth Theatre and did some work with them. Found out I could get a grant. Got a grant, went to drama school, and been living the dream.
Definitely. That's very interesting. My second question is, how did you get cast as a Death Eater in Harry Potter?
Through massively good fortune, I think. Partly good fortune, and partly because I grew my hair and beard. So I was clean shaven with short hair for many years after leaving drama school, doing theatre. And then I just, for some reason, just one summer, I just grew my hair. I was doing the Edinburgh Festival, and I wore a hat a lot and grew my hair. And obviously, when they were looking to cast the Death Eaters, they were looking for interesting-looking actors. And by that time, I had reasonably long hair and a beard. And I guess the casting director, Fiona Weir, obviously saw my picture and thought, we'll get him in to meet him. So I met her. And then I was cast as like a general Death Eater. They cast about 14 actors to just be potential Death Eaters. And then I got invited to go to Leavesden Studios and meet the director. And he actually then kind of chose which of these 14 actors or so were going to play which Death Eater. And I guess at that point, just through good fortune, I was cast as the train-stopping Death Eater, as he's now become known, for lack of a name. And as it turned out, that turned out to be quite a nice role. You know, he had something to do. He's got a little bit of a story, and he's in a really striking scene. So I guess I was just lucky that they wanted the long hair and the beard to be the one who stopped.
It's interesting that you say it was your image that get you cast, because all of the times when I'm going to do interviews on the podcast with you and any other guest, I always look up, additional information on each guest online, see what I can find out, fun facts and all, if there's anything, which in your case there actually was, and we'll get a bit to some of those in a minute. And with the next question, I think it was interesting because, it's funny what you can find on the internet. Like, I actually found this website, this Harry Potter fans website, I believe it was called snitchsneaker.com, and it had an article about when you and another actor were officially announced to be part of the cast, cast as two Death Eaters, I should say. And it was funny because so many Harry Potter fans there replied to the article saying, that guy looks a lot like a Death Eater, I can imagine him as one already, in reference to you. That was right after it was announced you were going to be cast.
I remember that, and I remember being really cheered by that and thinking this because it's suddenly quite scary, quite a responsibility to be connected and announce that you're connected with such a loved franchise. You want the fans to agree that you're good casting. The last thing you want to see is people saying, "Oh no, I can't see how that's going to work." I mean, you might win them over with that, but it was really nice having people saying that. So I remember that really strongly.
That's good. Yeah, it's always good, ahead of time, ahead of a release like Harry Potter, to know the fans do think you actually look the part,
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. My third question is, can you tell us about your experience filming on Harry Potter? Is it true that you smashed the Hogwarts Express carriage door so hard that the handle came off?
It's true. I broke the Hogwarts Express out. Oh, I was terrified. So you don't really see me slam the door, but it's a cut point. So when you see me on the track, the camera's kind of pushing in and I'm raising my arm and I'm looking all mean. And then you hear like a bang, and that's me slamming the door open. And then on that bang, it cuts to one of the students, and he says, and then he pans across to me in the doorway. So the door's already open. So they use the slam as the kind of cut point. And they said to me, your Death Eater's quite vicious. He slams the door open to get everyone's attention, and the train goes silent. So on each take, I would slam this door, and I really enjoyed doing it. It was really good because it did work. All the actors kind of froze, and then on one take, as I slammed the door, I hadn't paid any attention as to what I was slamming and what was stopping it. I assumed it was a stopper, but it wasn't. On those old trains, the door opens until the handle hits the kind of luggage shelf, and I hadn't realized. So each time I slammed it, I was slightly breaking the handle, and then about the fifth take, I slammed it, and I heard this noise that was different to the usual noise, and the door just kept on going. We were in the scene, so I pretended it had slammed, and then I walked down, did my little walk, came back, but all the way through, I was thinking, "Oh my word, I've broken the set. What are they going to say to me? What are they going to say?" But the minute they said cut, I think the first AD just came up to me and said, "John, we're really sorry about the door. Let's step you off set, and we're going to fix that for you." I was given a cup of tea immediately, and a couple of chippies, a couple of woodworkers immediately walked onto set, and I heard drilling and hammering for about 30 seconds. Then I was stepped back on set, and they'd fitted in that time two stoppers, one in the ceiling and one in the floor, wooden blocks with felt on. And then the first AD got the door and slammed it as hard as he could into the stoppers and said, "There you go, John, slam it as hard as you want. Sorry about that." And we carried on.
Wow, I can't believe that only took 30 seconds of work.
It was unbelievable, because the chippies are just on standby for that sort of thing. There's always tradesmen on standby, ready to be used to fix things, because if something breaks, you want to fix it as soon as you can, because that's costing thousands of pounds an hour to run that studio. I had visions when I was walking down on that take, thinking about, oh my word, what have I done? I was thinking about lower budget shoots I've done, where you break something, it stays broken quite often, and you as the actor are then expected to pretend that you're still doing. And I was thinking, how can I pretend to slam a door, because it needs the physical stop? But because it was Harry Potter, which was the perfect film world for me as an actor, it was like I'd found film heaven. Everything was exactly as it should be on the ideal film shoot, and hence when they said cut, I was apologized to, stepped off set, given a cup of tea, distracted for about a minute, walked back on set and shown that it had all been fixed. Ta-da! The magic of Harry Potter.
Yeah, that is pretty magical, all right. And yeah,
I was amazed. I was beyond impressed. You know, I mean, it's what should happen. It is what should happen, but it doesn't happen very often. And to the point where the first AD showed me, grabbed the door and said, and slammed it about 5 times really hard, and smiled and said, "There you go, John. Slam it as hard as you want."
yeah, it's pretty funny. Though not so funny is I'm sure some Harry Potter fans won't appreciate knowing you vandalized a sacred vehicle.
Had I been warned, you know, no one said to me, "Oh, but be careful. There's no stopper." It's just no one had realised, and you know, it just caught everyone out. It was just the handle that came off, so it wasn't terribly broken. It was just the handle came off, which they then fixed as well. So it survived.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, even though I'm sure some Harry Potter fans won't see it that way, but
They can find me on Twitter and tweet their disappointment and disapproval to me.
yeah, you heard him. Tweet that disapproval and tag us as well if you do it. No, wait, tag's not the right word, is it? You know, tweet us as well. We told you to do it. Now, if anyone actually does do that, I'll be very impressed.
Yeah, no, so will I. So will I.
Yeah, so you heard it. Go and do it. So moving on to my fourth question. When did you find out that your scenes in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 in Gringotts were cut from the final film?
Oh, good question. Good question. Not that I like to think about that too much, but it's a good question. Well, I found out when I watched the movie at the cast and crew screening. So they had a big cast and crew screening at the cinema in Leicester Square for both movies. So I'd already been to Leicester Square and I saw the first movie at the huge cast and crew event. Not the premiere, so it's separate to the premiere. It's cast and crew. Obviously, there's a huge cast and crew. So it was showing in Leicester Square in 3 different cinemas for all the cast and crew and their families to go and see. So I'd been, I don't know, 6 months earlier, was it a year earlier, to see part 1. Part 2's coming out. I've seen the trailers and I was in the trailers. So the same as part 1, I was in the trailers and then I was in the film. Part 2 comes out and I'm in the trailer. Amazing. Absolutely blown away to be in the trailers for such a small little role. So I'm in the trailer, right? So I'm in the movie. I'm sat next to my wife where with the lights are there watching the film, and I know kind of where I'm meant to be. Obviously, it's after Gringotts gets destroyed by the dragon. So I'm nudging my wife and I'm saying, "Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes." Bang. It cuts to a different scene. And I had to look at my wife and say, "Oh, apparently I'm not in it." They've cut the scene. Used it in the trailer. Fabulous. So I found out in the cinema at the cast and crew watching the movie. Bless them, they still invited me to the cast and crew, but didn't tell me that scene was cut. So I was a little bit sad. A little bit sad and a little bit embarrassed to be at the cast and crew when I'm not in it. But it does make an interesting story because, you know, that scene, which people only know about from the still, which I use, which is from the trailer, was a little bit of plot fixing. It was a little bit of plot gap, and that scene was written and shot to kind of bridge a little bit of plot gap. So I know about that plot fix, and I get to tell people about it when I meet them.
Yeah, I mean, don't you just absolutely hate that? You know, you're watching it and you only find out then. No,
it's a weird feeling, I can tell you, because it's all building up, and it's like, here it comes. Oh, and then it's kind of like running at a cliff edge, and then you just run off the edge, and then there's no, you're just in the air falling. You just have to get over it, though, to be honest, Rory, because
Yeah.
it happens all the time. It's nothing personal. The films are long anyway, and if you think about how much stuff doesn't get put in, there's almost more left out than put in any movie. And there can be 1,000 reasons why a scene isn't used. And whilst it was disappointing for me personally, it wasn't personal at all. So you've got to be, if you're in this industry, you have to. There's no guarantee that anything you film will end up in the finished movie. So you take it on the chin and you move on.
Definitely, but it would have been great to see the scene left in after all. Not sure, have they released it on a DVD or a Blu-ray or something, the deleted scene? I'm not sure, I don't remember seeing it anywhere.
I don't think it is. No, I kind of occasionally, do a search or a Google or ask the fans, and I don't think it's been released even as a deleted scene, which makes it even kind of more special. It's a deleted scene that has not yet been released. So I'm hoping I'm going to I'm appearing at MuggleNet Live in April, and Warwick Davis is going to be there as well. So I'm hoping that me and him are going to possibly recreate the missing scene between my Death Eater and Griphook live at MuggleNet Live. That'd be cool.
That would be, you can even tell him about us.
Absolutely. It's something that it's funny. I mean, when we filmed it, we never met because there were two shots. The scene was a very short scene, but it was made of two shots, and both shots were what we call POV shots, point of view shots. So the camera is the viewpoint of the character. So they filmed me with a camera where Griphook would be, and they filmed Griphook with a camera where I would be. So we were never on set together. Sad for me. It would have been lovely to meet him. But it is a scene between those two. So looking forward to meeting Warwick at MuggleNet Live and hopefully recreating that moment.
Definitely, that would be really great. So, moving on to my fifth question. Outside of Harry Potter, you're best known for darker/horror roles like Father Lawrence in The Zombie King and the Demon in Tales of the Supernatural. Are you a fan of darker movies and the horror genre yourself? And are you aiming to get more roles in darker films?
Very true. I do a lot of dark films, and yes, I am a horror fan. I'm not like obsessive over horror, but I do like horror. I like clever horror. I like classic old horror. The horror films from the 70s. The Omen, Exorcist, all that kind of stuff. I like horrors from back in the day when they were actually. When they were made when they were X-rated and then they were 18, and then I think studios realized that they can make more money if they made them 15 and less horror-y, and I think things went downhill slightly. But I do like horror. As an actor, horror films are tremendous fun to do. It's a bit of a counterintuitive thing, but horror films are fun to do. I like creepy stuff as well. I like gothic, creepy, traditional Hammer horror kind of stuff. So I'm always looking to be involved in those shoots. That's just a personal fulfillment because I like being around that type of imagery. So to get to be in a graveyard at midnight with a smoke machine just amuses me for some reason. Big fan of Halloween, the event. So yes, and I do have a couple of horror films coming out. There's a feature film called The Witching Tree, Children of the Witching Tree, which is coming out on DVD in May, I believe. And I have a small cameo in that. There's a really dark short horror film called The Herd, which is doing the festivals at the moment, and I have a bigger part in that. But yes, I like horror films.
Very nice. My last question for you, John, is do you have any upcoming acting roles or any other projects you would like to talk about?
Oh, so many. Where do I start? It'd be nice to mention Cosmos. That's a sci-fi TV series that's going to be available on the internet. Some people call that a web series. I tend not to call it a web series because I don't think that really does it justice. So it's a TV series, but it will be available on the internet. And it's called Cosmos. Cosmos with a K. And that's a 6-part, 15-minute episodes. Very dark, clever, high concept sci-fi, something that your listeners might like. So it's not spaceships and special effects, it's psychological and strange. I play a character, and the character is called Hexagonal Glasses. That's his name, Hexagonal Glasses. So, and I'm the mysterious character within the series, and that's if people are interested, that's entercosmos.com. Enter Cosmos with a K.com. People can find out more about that. What else? The Herd I've already mentioned. It'd be great for people if people are interested in some vegan horror. It's a vegan horror film. I think it's the first of its kind. So it's a horror film with a vegan message. And that's the Herd movie, and that's coming out soon. There's a sci-fi feature film that I have a lovely cameo in called Narcopolis, which is coming out this year. It has Jonathan Pryce, who people may know from the classic sci-fi Terry Gilliam film Brazil, and also stars James Callis from Battlestar Galactica. The reboot, the recent series. I got to work with both of those guys, which was absolutely phenomenal. And that's called Narcopolis, so people can Google that and find out about that. I literally just finished filming on Cosmos about a week ago, and in fact popped in to see the director, Cy Horrocks, today and see how the editing was going, and that's looking rather special. And finally, I'm in a music video that's just came out yesterday, which is it's by a band called Zyra, ZYRAH, and the song is called Assassin's Creed, and it's actually a classical vocal version of one of the Assassin's Creed themes. So it's got a real gaming following. Assassin's Creed's Twitter accounts, which has over 1 million followers, tweeted about it saying they loved it. So people check out the band Zyra. They can see the video on my YouTube channel if they go to YouTube and search for John Campling or Actor999, Actor with a K. I have a thing about Ks today. But if you just go to YouTube and look at John Campling, you'll probably find my channel, and I've got a section on music videos, and the Zyra music video, it's epic. It's sword fighting, it's slow motion, it's medieval battles. Very, very nice. And I say the music is from Assassin's Creed. There you go. That's me.
That's a lot of stuff.
Sorry, you could have interrupted me at any time, Rory. Sorry.
No, it's great. It's much better when it's a lot of stuff than when someone says they can't talk about anything.
I do have one thing I can't talk about, but I didn't talk about it because what's the point of saying I've got a thing but I can't talk about it? I'll wait till I can talk about it, and then I'll come on and talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, it's definitely some very interesting stuff that we'll definitely be keeping an eye out for.
Definitely, please go and check out the band Zyra. Were lovely. It's a female 4-piece classical pop band, kind of. So a little bit unusual, and they specialize in doing sort of covers of film and game music. And the Assassin's Creed tune is fantastic. And the video is quite spectacular, so really, really worth seeing. And and people check me out on Twitter at John Campling. Love to hear from you. Love to hear how people thought this podcast went. It's only my second.
Only a second? Wow. What was the other one?
Oh gosh, good question. I can't remember. It was about 1.5 years ago, and I can't remember who it was for. Oh, fail.
Well, I hope you remember me in 1.5 years.
Yes, hopefully I will, Rory. Hopefully I will. Well, hopefully, I'll possibly come on and give you an update before 1.5 years is up, so I won't have to last that long.
Definitely, yeah. But it's actually pretty funny. I've just gone on your IMDb, and the description of your Death Eater is actually pretty funny. It reads, a hand-raising, chain-stopping, carriage-boarding, kid-scaring Death Eater. That's a lot of names.
Talk about building up my part, eh? Building up my part. But I think, that covers everything.
Yeah, it definitely does. Actually, it's kind of funny that they said hand-raising. They could have said hair-raising because they also say on another part of your IMDb that one of your trademarks is your amazing hair.
Yes.
Someone actually put that on your IMDb. They called your hair amazing. That's pretty interesting. Yeah.
I can't get away from the fact that quite often I get cast because because of my hair. I joke sometimes that as an actor I work for free, but my hair is very expensive. So if you want to hire my hair, you'll have to pay for the hair, and the actor comes free. Because quite often what people want is the hair, and obviously I get the job, and I'm realistic about it. I'm happy to take the work for whatever reason, but it's been odd. The hair is great. I feel sorry for my wife slightly. When my wife met me, I had very short cropped blonde hair and no beard, and now I have very long dark grayish hair and a big beard. So she's adapted, though. I think now she loves the beard and the hair as well, so that was lucky.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, that's all of our questions to you today, John. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast.
Likewise, it's gone so fast, and good questions, especially
Thank you.
the one about breaking the Hogwarts Express.
Yeah, just as well I spotted that this morning on IMDb.
Yeah.
I didn't even know until today.
Yeah,
But
it's on the IMDb page, but no one's ever asked me about it, and it's always fun to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. But it's been a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we can do it again at some point.
I really hope so, Rory. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on, and
You're welcome.
With the rest of the show.
Thank you. So we'll talk to you soon then. Bye.
So time to wrap up this week's show. Make sure to check out our YouTube channels. The podcast is www.youtube.com/user/everythinggeekcast. Mine is www.youtube.com/user/Separatist Check out our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/everythinggeekpodcast. Check us out on Twitter, twitter.com/everythinggeekp. Check us out on Instagram.